Hi everybody. In this video we're gonna start building our project really. We're gonna actually write some code and we'll focus on putting the header component together, at least an outline of it. I'm not gonna worry about the functionality, but we'll just kind of get our feet wet here and frame out the application also so that we have like the outermost page structure, if not completely set, at least partially set up. So here we have our app.js component. We're importing CSS right here. And in one of the previous videos, I called the class app, which you're certainly welcome to do. You also could certainly call it page. And I'm actually just going to switch back to that because that's more in line with what we have done previously, although a different name would be fine. And so what do we need the page class to do? Well, we want it to be we wanted to have this background color, right? Background color. And if you recall from your around the US project, you would have had an element called page wrapper or page content, perhaps. And this one would restrict the width of all the elements in it. In this case, the width is rather wider. It's 1360. You can check that um, in the Figma. And also uh, center the page content inside the page. So we could do something like this. And then we would need to add the div with class page content. And yes, Emmet should still work just fine. All right, there we are. And okay, that's looking better. It's not going to make too much of a difference at this point, really. So until we actually start adding some stuff. So what do we want to add? Well, we want to add a header component. And I already created a file here. You can copy and paste an existing component if you forget what it needs to look like. It's not really too difficult, but you do have to keep in mind that you need to return the JSX, and the JSX needs to be inside a single element or fragments. You could use a fragment, and there should be the parentheses there. And so this is the header, right? So I guess we'll want to make it a header. I'll just do that for now. And see how it removed those parentheses and put it all on one line? This is also valid, but only if there's only a single line. And we will need to export default, the header. Exporting default isn't technically required, but that's the way you should do the components because that's really the normal way to do it. If there's only one export in a file, it makes sense to use export default. Now we go here and import header, and you should be able to see it recognizes that I've already created a component. Hit tab once you start typing it in, and it should give us correct file path. It seems like it has done so. And now we can use it. So header, and I've got a extra angle bracket. All right, and now note how until at this point this file is red and the folder containing it is red. All the folders containing it are red. This is rather helpful because it lets us know that there's a syntax error going on. But now everything is, you see the color is yellow in a number of files. That indicates that there are changes. So that doesn't indicate error or anything like that. It just indicates that changes have been made to these files. All right, let's run our app with npm run dev. And all right, now the text header appears. Let's note that it opened in port 3001. Apparently I have something else running on port 3000. That's not really something to worry about. Instead of Firefox for running it in the browser, I'm going to use Chromium because it's basically Chrome, and I prefer Chrome's DevTools just because I'm more used to them. And if we select this element, what we'll see, let's go to 1440, which is the size that the desktop view is built off of. And I mentioned 1360 for all these elements is the max width. Here we are at 1440, and we have the header at 1360. 1360. And yes, okay, it seems a little weird right now because it's not, there's not really any content. So that confused me for a minute, like why it looks like that. But this is correct because we want the gray to extend all the way to the side. Why is it not extending all the way to the side? Why is there this little bit of white space around? Well, that's because I haven't actually set up normalize.css, believe it or not. And the reason is page class, no, body. See, there's a margin around the body by default. That will be removed when we set up normalize.css. And I wasn't actually planning on doing this, but that's going to annoy me, I think. So let's get normalize.css set up. So you can do this in any way that you want. For me, I happen to know that I have normalize.css in the canonicals directory that's in my 1010 directory, and I can just copy that over into the vendor folder that's here. Now this command will almost certainly not work on your computer because you will not have a canonicals directory. So just go and find the file wherever you happen to have it and copy it over to your vendor directory. And then we can go and import it. That's the only other thing we need to do to make it work. At import URL /vendor /normalize.css, save the file. Now if we go back to the browser, we see there's no space like that anymore. It stretches all the way across the gray background color. It's a little hard to see right now, but now we're good. And you can also go to the body and you note that nope, there's no more margin, and the reason for it is shown clearly right down here. No, I thought the reason would be shown clearly. Maybe I need to refresh. Well, usually, in my experience, the browser would show you that styles are being applied via normalize.css. It would appear as an entry above the user agent style sheet. Maybe that does not happen with React, and I just didn't realize it. But in any case, you can see the margin that's there that the user agent style sheet is applying has been overwritten, and the reason is because of normalize.css. Okay. Now, for the header, what do? We need logo, these elements. It's going to be a date and a location. We'll just use like placeholder text for now. a button for adding close. Then we'll need the user's name, and we'll need an avatar image. But we're not just going to put them all like one, blah, 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 each after the other. We'll want to group them in some ways. So let's see. Open up header. So inside the header, we need first the logo, which will be an IMG tag. And I know what we're going to need classes for probably all of these, so I'll set them up right away. Using appropriate BEM. So there's the logo. I'll call it logo, that's better, more descriptive. And after the logo, there was a group of 2 elements. Oops, I'm going, let's see. Maybe we don't need them in a group. I'm not entirely sure. I think a paragraph tag will work fine for this. At least for now. Once we set up the interactivity, we may need to make adjustments to it. But so, well, here we can just do p.header double underscore. What should we call it? Date and location. That's a little verbose, but I'll just go with that. And for now, we'll just have a placeholder. Date, location. Just to fill in the blank. Other elements, I forget. Button. We need that button. Button. Well, let's see. Dot. Header double underscore. Add close button. Again, fairly verbose, but that's okay. Add close. And now, I think we can probably just use a plus there and not worry about an icon for that. It seems like that should look just fine. So I'll do that. Now, these elements, I said we were going to group these, but at the moment, they seem just fine to just place them all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I guess I'll go with that. Now, it's possible that we would, let's see. Maybe it's in the responsive design. Well, that does always seem to be in the same configuration. So maybe we don't even need to group them together. But note how here what we do need them grouped. Yeah. Do you see how if we're gonna do the mobile, which by the way this is not required, but it's a good idea to do it. To make this work, one way to make this work, it would be easier, I think, to group these 2 elements together with each other so that we could more easily arrange them when we go to do the mobile view. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to group them together inside a div, and the div could be header double underscore user, and then inside here, or you could do user container, and then a p, another paragraph tag, I guess. Dot, where's our header? There's not really an obvious choice for not a very obvious choice for an H1 element, is there? No, there is not. So, okay, we'll go with a paragraph tag then for that. Also, so p dot header double underscore username and placeholder here, and then img dot header double underscore avatar. Save that for the formatting. All right, let's take a look at how this appears in the browser. All right, so you see how it is going in a vertical orientation, which is not what we want. We want it to be horizontal. And I hope you have an idea of how we can make that happen. Flexbox is at least the way that I would do it. And so display flex. And don't forget you need to import header.css. And now we have it in a row. We're missing a couple elements, and that would be because we need to add the images. So I guess I'll do that next. We can just download both of these. Export SVG for this one, I would say. And export it. And for this one, I mean, you could use an SVG. I think PNG is probably fine. Also, I believe these would have appeared in my downloads directory. Yep, those would be the two files there. You can move those files over to your project any way you want. I'm just going to, I don't even need to copy them. I'm going to move the first one. We will move it to SRC assets and call it avatar.png. And for the other one, move it to the same location, but I am going to call it logo with a lowercase l. And we can delete that React, that old React logo. Now go back to the browser, refresh the page. Oh, nope, I didn't actually do anything with the images. All right, so anybody remember how to set images in React? If not, I recommend you go back to the lesson called Images in the React Tools chapter and refresh your memory. And then come back here and give it a try. And now I will show you how to do it. So what we need to do is first import the files. And we can call them whatever we want. I'm just going to, for simplicity, call this one logo. And you need a path to the file, which, as long as you are following along with the same file structure that I have, you'll need 2 dots for each of these images. And now we just use them by inserting these into the SRC attributes of the corresponding images inside curly braces. The curly braces, they allow us to escape back from the JSX, which is this, to JavaScript. So we're inserting a JavaScript expression, which in this case is just this identifier. But you can insert more complicated JavaScript expressions as well. And then here, avatar. Here, a good thing to insert here would be the actual username. We'll just, for now, it's just going to be hard-coded. And what's this guy's name? Guess I might as well get it right. copy that. There we are. And I'll put it here too. You'll set it up so that this varies eventually, but for now, we'll just hard code it. We could put in some hard coded information here, but I'm pretty sure in this project you're actually going to set up this level of interactivity. This will be a while from now before you vary the username and avatar, but you're welcome to put whatever username and avatar you want in there. It doesn't matter. Okay, see, this is starting to shape up, right? We've got the logo, we've got this, we've got that, we've got that. Now, what else do we need to do? Well, we need to get these over here and this over there. And the way that I would do that is actually to make use of more grouping. So group these elements together and group these elements together. And so we can do that by, I'm not even going to give these classes yet because I don't know if I'll need them, but maybe I will. Div and put that here. You know what? We don't even necessarily need to, I was going to group them and use like space between, but another possibility would be just to use margin left auto on this button, I think. Let's give that a try. So here, dot header add close button, margin left auto, and go back here. Yeah, okay, that'll do. So really, I mean, we've got the basic setup here. Most of the rest is just details. We could do things such as align items center. That's a good start. Now this right here, these should be in a horizontal situation. So again, if you want to turn a column into a row, try Flexbox. So we could do that by, let's see, align items center, and then the user container, make a flex container. Wrong window. That looks rather distorted now, but similar to what we did before, what we want to do is align the items, and now it does no longer look distorted. Oops, wrong property. So that's really shaping up, right? I mean, what else do we need? Of course, there is more stuff that we need. Padding around the edges would be a good thing. Some space in between the elements. I'll add a few of these things. Just ignore that. So let's see, what do we need? We need so the padding. So this element is 40 pixels tall by 89. What are we seeing here? That's 40 by 89. Okay. So that's actually the appropriate size. All right. We want to remove this margin. That's going to interfere with stuff. This margin too. They're both going to interfere with stuff. And the padding that I guess we'll want, we need 32 pixels between the top of this and the top of the container. And we need 28 between the bottom of this and the bottom of this container. So we can frame out the header to be like this chunk, basically. That's 32 and 28. So padding 32, 0, 28, and removing the margin from any of the P elements. Margin 0. That's often a good thing to do as one of the first things that you would do. And wait a minute here, 1360. Nope, go to 1440. Yeah, so that's starting to look the way it is supposed to. But we want to keep this padding, at least some padding on the sides, right? We don't want it to touch when it gets a little smaller. And there's a good chance you did this in the previous project by adding some padding. Padding 0, I'll just do 0, 20 pixels. There, that's looking better. And we're getting close to having the basic layout done. I'm not going to do all the details. I'm not going to do the fonts. So 24 pixels between these elements. 20 pixels. 12 pixels. And how can we arrange these? So, okay, for these, I'm just going to use gap. Because we got two elements, we need a 12 pixel space between them, and it's a flex container. For the rest, I think we want to do margins because they vary, so you can't really conveniently use, click on that, conveniently use gap. So here we are. I'm forgetting. Okay, so we could do the header logo, margin right 24 pixels. Then the next one that we need to worry about is the button. Margin right 20 pixels. We could, of course, use shorthand 0, 20 pixels, 0 auto should be the equivalent shorthand. And then we needed a gap of 12 pixels. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Yes, the button is not styled. Yes, the fonts aren't styled. Yes, we haven't set that up yet. But other than that, you know, the basic structure of the header is complete. And most of what we have, most of what we have done here has been really just basic HTML and CSS. The only difference is that we've, the images are done a little differently, and we're embedding this inside a JavaScript component, basically, and rendering it like so. But that is the first step. So we've got part of the markup ready, and I'll stop this video now.